everybody, my name is Mackenzie and welcome back to Mac in Action. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my May reset, but this time it's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be showing you guys what a monthly reset looks like when you are unmotivated and not wanting to do a reset for the month. Obviously there are some things that I have to get done for the next month, and I'm obviously going to do those, but then there's some other things that I do that I'm just not going to be doing this month, just for honestly my own sanity and because it's not what I need this month. So I'm going to be showing that to you. We're really going to be prioritizing rest, good times, and I will show you some of those things as well. Hope you enjoy this monthly reset. I've linked below my previous month's reset. If you do enjoy this one, you can check those out as well. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with some highs and lows that I had in April. April was a very hard month, but also there are so many good, beautiful things that happened during this month that I'm really trying to focus on being grateful for those. So let's start with the highs. The first one was the total solar eclipse day. I'm so grateful for that because I got a day off of school, which doesn't normally happen. So that was really awesome. And I got to just spend the day doing some spring cleaning. I'll link my vlog from that day down below. But that was just really fun, and also it was just beautiful to see the total solar eclipse and just be in awe of God's creation that he's given us. So that was definitely a high of the month. Another high is that I made my first and my second sale on eBay, and as you guys know, one of my April goals was to post every single day on eBay, and I was so happy to see the rewards of that. So that was so exciting to just make my first sale. And if you want to know more about reselling or thrifting, anything like that I've been doing, comment down below because I'd love to make a video about that and what I'm learning through that process. Another high that I had was that my husband and my sister planned a birthday party for me at a roller skating rink. I love roller skating and I got to see so many of my best friends there. So that was just a really wonderful time and it made me feel so special and loved for my birthday. Another high was that I got to go to my best friend Kylie's bridal shower and her bachelorette party. And her bachelorette party was Mamma Mia themed and it was so much fun. We had a board night and we put up the decorations and it looked awesome and it was just so fun. It was like old school sleepover vibes, and honestly it was just so special to spend a sleepover with one of my best friends since childhood because it was nostalgic because we used to do that when ever since we were kids. And then it was just so special because that might be one of the last slumber parties, sleepovers that we have together since I'm married and she's getting married. Some other highs were just time with family. We got to host my uncle and my cousin here and go to Charlie's grappling tournament and he got first place, so that was a lot of fun. And then the last high of the month for me would be some fun things that have gone on at my work. I'm a first grade teacher and we had our culture night and my class studied Egypt and Mexico, so we made boards for that. And then Robbie and I got to go and set up the boards and we had a lot of artifacts from Egypt. And the last high of the month was that I took my first graders on a field trip to Callahan Park in Dayton, Ohio, and they had such a good time. And while field trips can be stressful for me as a teacher, I saw how much fun they had, so it was just really a joy to get to take them on that trip. Now on to lows for the month. This month has been extremely busy and I've had a lot of personal things going on, so that would definitely be my lowest of the month, and just working through that, knowing that God is in control and that for whatever situation I'm in, divine love put it there, because if any situation would be better than the one I'm in, he would have gave me a better situation. So I can trust in the Lord with that. I can trust in him with my friendships and with the people that I love and care about and with my life. I'm just clinging to that right now. Another low that kind of went along with that was that I kind of fell off my April goals towards the end of the month just because there was a lot of things going on emotionally and mentally and spiritually in my life that I decided to focus on handling those things the best way that I could, and sometimes that meant that I wasn't able to prioritize my monthly goals as much, and I'm honestly very okay with that because I think I was just faithful in what I needed to be faithful in this month. Another one is that I found out I'm bad at making sourdough, or at least starting the process. I didn't do it very well, but that was also, again, a hectic time. So sourdough's not a hobby to start when things are hectic, that's for sure. Let's go on to our next section of this reset vlog, which is going to be talking about what I'm looking ahead to and looking forward to in the coming month. The first thing is that at the very beginning of the month, me and my sister and Robbie and Ross are going to get to go to Dayton. I cannot talk. We are getting to go to a Dayton Dragons game, and I'm really excited because we went to one before and it was just so fun. I'm also really looking forward to some family time that we have scheduled throughout the month, as well as my sister's bachelorette party. We're going to go to Indy, and I'm just excited to explore that city because I've been to Indiana, but I've never been to Indianapolis before, so I'm excited for that and to just celebrate her. Also, my best friend Kylie is getting married this month, and I'm so excited for her. I cannot wait for her wedding, and I just love weddings, so I'm excited for wedding season. I'm also going to be looking forward to my sister staying with us before she gets married to just get some extra sister time with her. That's going to be really special. My brother-in-law is also going to be graduating high school, and we're just so excited for him and what's next for him in the next stages of his life. So I'm excited to go spend time with family on that weekend as well and celebrate him. And then I'm excited for the last day of school this month. This is why I love doing the monthly resets, because it causes me to look forward into what I'm excited for about the next month. And it honestly, even though this past month has been really hard, it gets me really excited for the month to come. And even though I won't see, like when I'm looking at the things ahead, I don't have scheduled out like the bad things or the unexpected things that happen, but it is just a way to refocus my heart on the good. So I'm really thankful for that. So one thing, when I looked at the calendar, I was like, oh yeah, last day of school is going to be at the end of this month. I loved my class this year so much. I love my students, but I am a teacher that is ready for summer. So we are excited for that. And then the last thing that I'm really excited for is I have a camping trip planned with 2 of my friends, and I'm so excited. It's kind of like our annual thing that we do at the end of the school year. So I am excited for that and to get to spend a little bit of time outdoors. Before we start our next section, I'm gonna go ahead and make a cup of coffee, and then we will talk goals. Hi everybody, I am back with my half-calf coffee. That's what I'm drinking today, and it's my second cup of the day, so I'm gonna need it to get through all the resetting. So again, sorry if the angle or lighting has changed since I made my coffee, but we are getting ready to talk about goals. But before we can talk about May goals, we're gonna talk about April goals and see how I did on them. So in April, I decided to do less goals. I tend to try to do a lot of goals at one time and then kind of do okay at all of them, but don't really do them all well. So this month I tried to do less goals and to do them well. However, I don't even remember what my April goals were, to be honest, because I never wrote them down, because I changed them right before that reset video. Then I wrote down what I think that they were, and I'm gonna let you know how I did on them. But like I said, in my highs and lows, I kind of really fell off towards the end of the month just because I really need to focus on being faithful in other things that didn't involve these goals, and that's okay, because sometimes life and friendships and family and sometimes work, whatever it may be for you, like sometimes those things come up and they are more important than my New Year's resolution. Like they're 1,000 times more important than my New Year's resolution, than whatever. So that happened and I'm okay with that. So let's get into what they were, or what I think they were. The first one for April was to post on eBay every day. And this, so far, right now it's the 28th, but I so far have done that. And I'm really proud of myself for doing that. I had to plan ahead for that one. I had to take content shots of the items that I was selling. I had to write descriptions of them, and I really put in a lot of work for that. So I'm really proud of myself for doing that one. I think the second one was to follow my home management schedule, and I honestly did that for the majority of the month, but towards the end I just haven't. But because I had been consistent with it so long, my house isn't a wreck, so that's good. that's a great thing about the home management schedule, is that if I skip or if something comes up and I don't get to the things that I need to do, if I've been consistent all the other days, it's an easy pickup. So honestly, I'm gonna count that as I did that goal, because I did it as much as I could, and I did it in the way that the home management schedule was intended to work. So yeah, I really love that home management schedule. If you want to know more about my home management schedule, please comment below. I'd love to make a video about it, or even show you like a week in the life vlog of what I do just for my home management schedule. And then I think my last April goal was to just eat well and exercise, and basically like do the 75 soft without like doing all the aspects of it, but like the eating well and the exercise part. And I honestly did it right until the end there, and things have been hectic, but I also got sick. If you can't tell by my voice, I got sick, and so that kind of put a hindrance on some things. That was the main reason. I have exercise induced asthma, so I wasn't really able to do as much as I would like to being sick. Even walking, like if I walk while I'm congested, I will literally throw up. You know what? This month has been hard. I'm chalking it up as a yes, I did it. So anyways, let's go on to May and pray that May will be a better month. So my first goal for May is to keep posting on eBay once a day. I have a ton of items that I still need to photograph and write descriptions of and post. So I decided to make that one of my goals, because it has become a habit for me to just post an item a day. But in order to meet this goal this month, I'm definitely going to have to plan ahead and take pictures of the items that I have and research like the sale prices, the sell-through prices of the items, so that I know what to price them. So I'm gonna have to plan ahead for this one, but I think I can do it. My second goal is to finish one of my large fiction books that I'm reading. I currently have 3 of them. One I've started, another one, it's a John Grisham book that I have for my book swap that I need to read for my book swap. And then my third one is one that a lady from church let me borrow that she recommended, and I want to make sure I read it to get it back to her. But I don't like reading more than one fiction book at a time. In order to do that, I am going to try to read every night before bed, at least a chapter, and then if I get really into it, I can read more than that. And then the third goal I have is to keep up the habit of mindful eating. So I'm gonna try to be diligent with that, and I've recently had a few things change with my health. I'm gonna be going back to the doctor in June, and so I wanna try everything before then to see if I can better my health through nutrition. So that way when I do go to the doctor, I can say, look, I've tried everything that I could to help. Can you please help me find some answers? So that's what I'm doing. Those are my May goals. What are your goals for May? Please comment down below. Let me know what your goals are, what you're planning on for this month. And if you don't have a monthly goal, let me know what your New Year's resolution was down below. Another thing that I wanted to start doing in my monthly resets, not just having highs and lows of the month, that's kind of talking about circumstances a bit more, but I want to also talk about my wins and my things to improve on. So for this month, some of my wins would be that I had balanced eating. I was eating balanced diet. I was mindful of what I was putting in my body. So I would say that was a win for me. My second win was that I hit my eBay goal and I sold some things on eBay. So those were definitely 2 major wins for me for this month. Something that I can improve on with my goals is to just stay consistent. Obviously, like I already said, things happen, and I got sick. I had things going on in my personal life, and so those things did end up taking priority. But one thing that I would like to do in the future is to stay consistent even through those things. So that's something that I am going to try to improve on. Before we do the content corner, we are going to take a little break, and I am going to show you my one big clean project for my May reset. I started this video by telling you that I am unmotivated to make this reset video and to reset my life just because things have been hard and I'm not feeling the best. But one of my New Year's resolutions was to post a reset video every month, and so I'm going to do it. So we are going to do one big clean instead of doing my normal little cleans that I do and meal planning and resetting my calendar. I'm going to meal plan. I'm going to reset the calendar. but I'm just going to show you one big clean. That clean is going to be cleaning out our fridge and doing a deep clean of it, wiping everything down, cleaning out the drawers, everything, getting rid of anything that's expired and old. That's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll get right to the content corner. So we are getting ready to jump into the content corner. This is my favorite part of these reset videos. Starting with books that I read this month. I actually read a lot more this month than I thought I would. I thought I was going to look back on this month and be like, wow, I fell off the reading train too. But I did not. So first we're going to talk about the physical copies of books that I read, and then we'll talk about audiobooks. So this is not the order that I read the books, but we're going to talk about books and then audiobooks. So the first book that I read was Biblical Theology, How the Church Faithfully Teaches the Gospel. This is one of the 9 Mark's Little Colorful books, and it was written by Nick Roark and Robert Cline. I gave this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. This is just a description of the book in case you're interested in reading it. Throughout the history of the church, Christians have always had to contend with the influence of unbiblical teachings related to God, humanity, and salvation. One of the most important safeguards against all forms of heresy is a robust appreciation for biblical theology, reading the Bible in a way that takes into account the whole storyline of redemptive history. Exhorting pastors and other church leaders to prioritize biblical theology in their own congregations, this book explains basic principles for reading the Bible that help pastors teach the big story of the Bible from every text. Understanding the Bible in Christ-centered terms shapes the church's teaching and mission and protects the truth of the gospel around the world. One thing that I really liked about this book was that they gave you an overarching view of scripture and then dove into more different types of theology, different aspects of theology, and then at the end they also practically called to light some false biblical teachings like the prosperity gospel and things like that. So I really like this book and I give it 5 stars. The next book that I read was called The Freedom of a Christian, and this is by Martin Luther. I also gave this book 5 stars. This is the description of that book. Martin Luther's The Freedom of a Christian stands as one of the crucial writings that fueled the 16th century Reformation of the Christian Church. In it, Luther argues that Christians are freed from the demands of the law to serve God and neighbor. A Christian, Luther writes, is a perfectly free Lord of all, subject to none. A Christian is a perfectly dutiful servant of all, subject to all. I think that's the part of the book that I enjoyed the most, talking about how a Christian is free from the need to have to do works to be saved, but at the same aspect, because a Christian is saved, I then have a duty to God and to other people to serve. So I really liked that part of the book, and there's some really good quotes from that book as well. I really enjoyed this book. It was a quick, short read. It's a small book, and I gave it 5 stars. The last book that I read was the book that I was doing for my church book study, which is called Heart for Home, and it's by Magnus. This book is actually not published yet, but I am so excited for whenever it is, because I think it will truly be a blessing to the church. It is biblical, talking about work, talking about the roles of women, talking about homemaking, but it's also extremely practical, which I loved. I'm just a practical person, so I really enjoy when something I read is practical. It's also so motivating. Like, I was reading the section on decluttering, and it was so motivating that I stood up from reading and went and decluttered my closet. So I really enjoyed this book. She talks about the priorities that we should have in our life, and that was really eye-opening to me, because sometimes, like, my job can go up higher on the priority list than other things in my life when I know it shouldn't. My calling as a Christian is first to be a woman of God. Second, because I'm a wife, is to be a good wife. And if I were to have children, that would come third. Right now, for me, work is not even third on my list. Work is lower on my list. Doesn't mean I don't try my best at my job and love my job and care about my students, but it's just that priorities, like getting those priorities in check. The next thing that's important for me is my church family and my friends, the people I fellowship with. And then after that would be my job, and then finally after that, my priorities is my hobbies. That was really eye-opening and really gave a good foundation for the rest of the study when we're diving into the practical aspects of homemaking. There was a chapter on cleaning, and that's where I came up with my home management schedule, following her guidelines of how she does it, and it was so helpful. There's one on meal planning, there's one on decluttering, organizing, a chapter on taking care of children. Honestly, this book would be great for anybody in any stage of life. And I loved that I was able to go through it with women at my church who are just so wise and who were so encouraging to me, who gave me a lot of ideas on the practical aspects of things. And honestly, like, this might be like just one of my favorite experiences of 2024 even. Like, I feel like I've just grown so much in my faith and who I am, and in my ability to fulfill the roles that I have in my life. So I loved this book. This book, because it's not published, I couldn't post it on Goodreads, but I definitely would have given it 5 stars. We're going to talk about audiobooks. So for audiobooks, the first book that I listened to was Once Upon a Wardrobe by Patti Callahan. This is the overview of this book. College student Meg Devonshire sets out to fulfill her younger brother George's last wish by uncovering the truth behind his favorite story. What transpires is a fascinating look into the bond between siblings and the life-changing magic of stories. So this book, they didn't really say this in the synopsis of it, but basically this story also ties with C.S. Lewis. So C.S. Lewis is in this story, and Meg goes and talks to C.S. Lewis because when it said what her brother's favorite story was, it was the Chronicles of Narnia. So her brother wants to know, where did this story come from? And so Meg seeks out Mr. Lewis and asks him these questions, and along the way she learns a lot of stuff. I really enjoyed this book and how it tied together with C.S. Lewis's life. And the main character is struggling with the fact that her brother, who's a big Lewis fan, is dying. She seeks out Mr. Lewis for her brother to ask where his stories came from and who the characters represent and all that. And it really came to like a beautiful conclusion. The rest, the beginning, middle of the story, it was okay, but the ending I think really made a big difference for me. So I really loved the ending, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I give this book 4 stars. The next audiobook that I listened to was The Last Juror by John Grisham. I honestly enjoyed this book a lot more than I thought I would. I ended up giving it 3 stars just because John Grisham isn't my favorite author, but I did enjoy this a lot more than I thought I would. This story follows, there was a murder. One thing I will say is, trigger warning, this book does talk about like sexual assault. So if that is triggering to you, I would not read this book. But anyways, at the beginning of the story, there's a woman who is murdered, and the rest of the story follows along a man who is now running the local newspaper. And so he's kind of the person whose perspective that we're seeing all this from, and he's writing about the murder. He's writing about the court case that they have to convict the person that they think murdered this lady. I'll go ahead and read the synopsis for you so you can see if you'd like to read it. In 1970, one of Mississippi's more colorful weekly newspapers, the Ford County Times, went bankrupt. To the surprise and dismay of many, ownership was assumed by a 23-year-old college dropout named Willie Traynor. The future of the paper looked grim until a young mother was brutally raped and murdered by a member of the notorious Paget family. Willie Traynor reported all the gruesome details, and his newspaper began to prosper. The murderer, Danny Paget, was tried before a packed courthouse in Clayton, Mississippi. The trial came to a startling and dramatic end when the defendant threatened revenge against the jurors if they convicted him. Nevertheless, they found him guilty, and he was sentenced to life in prison. But in Mississippi in 1970, life didn't necessarily mean life, and 9 years later, Danny Paget managed to get himself paroled. He returned to Ford County, and the retribution began. So it's really following along, like, is this man the one who is killing off the jurors? And I thought that the ending was surprising. The story was a little more interesting than I thought it would be, and I gave it 3 stars. The last book that I listened to was Boundaries, When to Say Yes, How to Say No to Take Control of Your Life by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. And I give this book 4 stars. Here is the synopsis of that book for anyone who is interested. Having clear boundaries is essential to a healthy, balanced lifestyle. A boundary is a personal property line that marks those things for which we are responsible. In other words, boundaries define who we are and who we are not. Boundaries impact all areas of our lives. Physical boundaries help us determine who may touch us and under what circumstances. Mental boundaries give us the freedom to have our own thoughts and opinions. Emotional boundaries help us to deal with our own emotions and disengage from the harmful, manipulative emotions of others. Spiritual boundaries help us to distinguish God's will from our own and give us renewed awe for our Creator. Often, Christians focus on being loving and unselfish that they forget their own limits and limitations. When confronted with their lack of boundaries, they ask, can I set limits and still be a loving person? What are legitimate boundaries? What if someone is upset or hurt by my boundaries? How do I answer someone who wants my time, love, energy, or money? Aren't boundaries selfish? Why do I feel guilty or afraid when I consider setting boundaries? Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend offer biblically based answers to these and other tough questions, showing us how to set healthy boundaries with our parents, spouses, children, friends, coworkers, and even ourselves. I gave that book 4 stars. I thought it was helpful. I thought it was practical. I thought it laid out different kinds of boundaries. I wasn't a huge fan of like the like make-believe scenario that they set up at the beginning and the end, but I could see how that could be helpful. All in all, I gave that book 4 stars because I do think it was practical and helpful, and if that is something you struggle with, that's something I struggle with, I highly recommend it. A couple at our church recommended that to us. Those are the books that I read this month. I finished 6 books this month, and now I believe I'm at 27 books for the year, so that's pretty good. My goal is to read 40 books by the end of the year. Now for other things in the content corner, we're going to talk about music and movies. So for music, lately I've been really enjoying the Mamma Mia and Mamma Mia Here We Go Again soundtrack, just because Kylie's bachelorette party was that themed, and ever since then, and we watched the movies, I just have had all the songs stuck in my head. So I've been listening to that a lot. And for movies, I would say Mamma Mia, we watched that at her bachelorette party, and Mamma Mia Here We Go Again. And then I turned around and came home and I said, Robbie, we need to watch those. So we watched Mamma Mia and Mamma Mia Here We Go Again right afterwards. So I really enjoy those movies. They're kind of silly, but I really like the music, and I love the ending of both of them. I love in the first one when her mom's helping her get ready for her wedding. That made me cry. And then in Mamma Mia Here We Go Again, I love the ending in the church when they're like dedicating their baby. I sobbed both times that I watched it this month. So good. It reminds me of my mom and just how much she cares for me and how much I love her, and yeah, so good. And then also for movies, Robbie and I have been watching old Disney movies because he hasn't seen a lot of the ones that were just a part of my childhood, so I'm sharing those with him. So far we've watched The Rescuers, Robin Hood, The Aristocats, and last night we just finished Oliver and Company. So I think he really liked most of them, and I'm excited to keep doing that. So that is the content corner for this month. Thank you guys so much for watching this May reset with me. I know it was a little different, but I hope you enjoyed it and that this can be something that motivates you if you're not feeling like resetting for the month and cleaning, whatever it may be. Pick one big project, get it done, and look for things to be grateful for in the previous month and looking ahead, and just prioritize rest. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a super blessed day, and I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!